Welcome to The Big Reset, Marketing and Business Edition, a podcast for entrepreneurs, forward thinkers, and marketing junkies embracing new world business strategies and zigging when others zag. Host Scott Harkey is president and CEO of OH Partners, one of the largest and most decorated creative agencies in the Southwest, which has helped open the door for him to sit down with an array of high-octane guests and personalities, all with credible stories to tell and valuable insights to share. As the advertising and marketing industry continue heading towards new world shifts, align yourself with true leaders in the space and make the Big Reset a weekly habit as you stay one step ahead of the masses in your journey to self-educate, learn, and grow your personal and professional brand.
Yay! I'm here with Napoleon, one of my favorite people, one of the most creative people I've ever met. I want to go just quickly through some of his background because it's super unique and so many cool things I just love about Napoleon. We've had crazy conversations, mostly over drinks at night.
Some late night conversations.
Yeah. And I just my creative juices just go nuts when talking to Napoleon. Some interesting things. Napoleon actually rebooted Ninja Turtles 2. He right now is one of the partners and founders of Atari Hotels, a really cool project that he's been working on with Atari. I can go on and on and on about all his crazy projects. Another interesting thing, Captain Kangaroo he's working on with Mark Wahlberg. So just all this crazy shit that you have going on, which I just think is amazing. But what do you like what made you think of like the creative ideas that you have? Like how the hell did you be like, you know what, I want to buy Ninja Turtles IP and like take it to market and make a movie? Like who does that? Like how did you have the confidence to do that?
I think, throughout the years of failure, you start learning it's not so bad if you fail. It hurts when it happens. But Ninja Turtles was an interesting one just because my magazine, I had a kids magazine. It was a kids martial arts magazine named Kono. And it was right before the big crash of '06. So I was about to lose a lot of investors, a lot of money. And I was like, well, I remember we interviewed the guy that owned Ninja Turtles, and I was been a fan since I was a kid. My family owns martial arts schools back in Texas. So I've been an avid Ninja Turtle fan. And I'm like, well, I'm about to be totally screwed here this year, but maybe a Hail Mary. And so I went out and met the creator of Ninja Turtles and said, hey, you haven't done movies in years. I would like to buy the rights and bring it back, the movies. And, at first he thought I was nuts. But I kept coming back, and I brought back the technology. I brought the producer that did Batman and Superman. Then he took me a little more serious, and I brought back the guy that did the last Ninja Turtles to show that, because I know he liked that guy and that writer. And then finally, after me going back and forth 3 or 4 months and really just getting credit cards to keep going, but he finally gave me a comic book, and it was the first edition in it. And I was like, oh, man, he knows he's giving this to me to sell because he knows I probably blew all my money, and he knows that here's a parting gift. But he goes, you got to read this one. It's really special. So when I was on the plane, by the third page, it said, let's make a movie.
Wow.
So
how long was this process to get?
God, the process was forever, though. 2
years? To
get the rights in, then then when he did that, I had to go raise a couple $1 million
to do the movie.
Just to get the rights to pay him. So okay, I thought I got it. Like, oh, wait a second. Now I got to go figure out how to get the money.
Wait, you went and got the rights. You didn't have the money?
No. So I just acted as if I had the money. I assumed that I'd get the money.
You know what's so funny is 20 years being a business, I've raised money for deals on a few occasions, and I didn't realize. I always thought you had to have the money before you go negotiate the deal, but that's actually not the case in almost every case I've seen, which is insane. Yeah,
you go to investor and not have the rights, they're going to look at you like, why are you wasting my time? Correct. So I actually went to the investor, Eric Crown, the founder of Insight,
Arizona boy.
About to already lose him a couple $1 million on a magazine that he believed in, with me. And I said, I need you to double down now and teach me. He's like, are you out of your mind? I just got the rights, showed him the model, showed him what we were going to do. And he go, okay, this is pretty cool. So he was the only investor. He's the sole investor, and he doubled down. Wow. And what was cool about it is like, look, the only way I would get your money back from losing the magazine is if you double down in Ninja Turtles, you're going to make it back in that. So he made it back, tenfold. And, the rest is history. Then from that point,
the Ninja Turtle 2 movie did like $1 billion.
So we actually, we produced the last 2 movies with the ones that were Michael Bay movies. Yeah. So those were ours. And Eric and I were both executive producers, which whatever, I don't even know what that means anymore. But I was, employee number 1. But yeah, the first one did like 550 million. Oh. And the second one did about 300. But they did over 1.2 billion in toys per movie.
Wow, yeah, I remember the toys.
It's the toys.
That's how that's what I've learned in entertainment business now. Yeah. It's like you make all the money on the action, you make all the money on the CPG product from the movie.
Now, a lesson I'm learning is now how do you go get your money from the studio? So that's another.
We've talked about that.
That's a whole nother podcast.
It's a sharky world out there, isn't it?
Yeah, LA it can be a little sharky world when you're dealing at that level. But
isn't that the only way to learn though? Is just by getting your ass kicked and just trying?
Yeah, I mean, now I know the kind of attorneys you need, and what. You need to own the IP. As more and more I try to own more and more of the IP than just at least licensing it, but sometimes you can't. But I learned some lessons.
I think what's so interesting in today's world, and Gary Vee's talked about this idea of old IP coming back, like everything recycles. One of the big insights I had, I actually did a podcast earlier with Todd Davis, who started LifeLock.
Oh yeah, I've met him before.
Right? Yeah,
cool Todd, story.
And you and I talked about this. I think we were like at the Henry or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Todd told me it took him over $1 billion to build a brand in the United States. And this was 10 years ago. It would cost you probably $2 billion in marketing support to build a brand that, let's say, had 60 or 70% recall rate in the U.S. So what you're doing is fascinating to me, Napoleon, where you find this IP that is loved by people, that is known by people, and you bring it back in a way that is not just nostalgia, but like cool, but yet harnesses the nostalgia. Like I don't know anyone that's doing that.
Well, and what's really I found is cool. Ninja Turtles was a great example because, then I got the money to buy the rights. And then we went to the studios, and I made the assumption that every studio wanted to do this. So like Lionsgate took the meeting with me. That was my first one. And later I found out they just wanted to take the meeting because it was as a joke.
Oh, wow.
They never dude, we're not doing a Ninja Turtles from the rubber suits back in the 90s. Like you guys are crazy.
You're insane.
And I was like, how do they not see what I see? But you're dealing with a lot of these executives. They weren't born in that generation or anything. They're in the in-between generations. So they think Ninja Turtles are has-been. But I know all these fans out there that if that movie existed, they'd be taking their kids in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So you have the fan base of an older fan base and these younger ones that they're going to be putting the pajamas and buying all the stuff for their kids. So, that's one of the things you learn when you buy these brands, like what you said with LifeLock. You get the ability to turn the fans into your army.
Correct.
And you're going to war.
Correct.
And if I have an army of millions, and now instead of pouring all our money, it's like with a new idea, you got to pour your money in marketing.
Yes.
But with a great, cool brand that's nostalgic, that's from our childhood, I'm taking something from your childhood. We use a lot of PR. So we did a lot of publicity stunts. So we made the Empire State Building green. Oh my God, that got a lot of attention. We did a tour with a Ninja Turtle bus to a ton of martial arts schools to waken the fans. Then finally at Comic-Con I met Megan Fox, and she's like, look, you bake me into this deal, I'll go on Jay Leno and I'll wear the Ninja Turtle and I'll say, hey, don't you want to see me be April O'Neil? After that happened, Paramount calls me, Michael Bay calls, like, all right, what is this? So that's all because there was fans, and you had a fan that, that was a celebrity, and we unlocked the army.
That's what. So, Andrew, we talked about the PR, and I mean, PR is when television declines, 15% last year. Every marketing conference I go to is like it's all about relevancy, which it is. But I think you've unlocked these strategies that have existed over time that you continually go back to, and it's like this recipe for success. Like you talked about launching Captain Kangaroo with Mark Wahlberg standing, on Ellen. Like you figured out like the recipe for success to relevancy almost.
Yeah, I mean, I my partners always call it, okay, you got to go out and P.T. Barnum. And, I love that. Sometimes people use that like, dude, P.T. Barnum was the coolest dude ever. But and you see guys do it really well. I mean, obviously, people won presidencies off that. But
yeah, for sure.
If you can just
Reagan.
if you can make something if it's controversial or it's just something so hip, cool to nerds that people are gonna do that water cooler talk, that's your marketing. But that ties into it has to be like can't just make an announcement.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something cool and fun, like what we did with Captain Kangaroo. Mark Wahlberg put the red jacket on Ellen DeGeneres, and that was what popped it, and you need you need a person like a Mark Wahlberg to do that.
Correct.
But my deal was that's your partnership. Him doing that right there, Kangaroo now is relevant today. And so that value of bringing a partner on that can do that and they're not using capital is just, it's invincible. It's amazing when you can, pull that off.
How do you have the balls to do all this stuff? Like talk to Wahlberg and like get the rights to stuff. Like you just charge it shit.
Yeah, the cool thing is if you have, I need at least 2 or 3 other people to say agree that know what they're doing. Because quite honestly, if you depend on me doing it, we're in big trouble. My partners make fun of me about it all the time.
We've got some great partners.
Yeah, but it's the truth. You come up with a concept, you see the vision, and okay. That you work backwards. That in so many years this thing's going to exist. Mm-hmm. So your job is to make sure, and your employee number 1. Mm-hmm. So now if I can infect 2 other people that really know what the hell they're doing, and they can get it to the next level. Now like with Atari, we have a whole board of directors. Some guys are from Nike, some are from GoPro, 2 from Activision. The founder of Atari looks like he's coming on board. It's just crazy the people coming on board because they've been infected.
Correct.
And once they're infected, then it's just game over.
I mean, it's amazing. Like, I think you told me, like, I was watching Stranger Things and the kid had the Atari shirt on. It's like, okay, boom, we got it. Because think about both generations now, the generation that watched Stranger Things at a massive level and then, the people that played Atari. And it's like, okay, boom, of 350 million people in the U.S. or whatever the number is, 400 million. There's 100 million people that know Atari and 30 million people that like love Atari. And now all the hipsters and the new kids are like, it's cool again.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching, like you said, I was watching Stranger Things. I'm going to do a marathon. I'm going to run through this season 2, rewatch 3. And I just love that nostalgia because it's the 80s Stranger Thing.
The 80s are so
I mean, it's just so fun, right?
So big right now.
So you're watching it. You see this little kid with the Atari shirt on, the curly haired kid. And I'm like, oh my God. I remember when I was a kid, I got an Atari. And I couldn't even play it till midnight, even though it was my gift because my entire family was playing. Wow. And I just remember my grandmother was playing, my uncles were playing, everybody was taking turns and fighting to play. And it was the first time that instead of us all getting around the TV to watch a story, it was the first time we got around the TV to be part of a story. Mm. And that was a really cool experience. So when I was there, it was late at night, it was like 2 a.m. I was inspired, maybe with a cocktail in hand. And I was like, I missed that when I had an Atari under my tree and knowing it's an Atari that I'm going to unwrap. And I was like, wouldn't it be freaking cool to have a Christmas tree under my Atari? Because now I'm an adult and I have adult toys. And I'm like, what would be a Christmas tree in Atari? A hotel. And that's when I realized the brand has gone through so many iterations that now it's about nostalgia, but it's the OG. It's the original gamer. So gamers is so prolific now, but Atari is the original. It created it all. So I was like, man, I got now the 2 things I love in life. I'm a big techie. I worked for Nokia for 10 years. Yes. And, launched a lot of cool phones. But then I'm also a big nostalgic 1980s dude. So when I thought about like, dude, this is 2 things. I get to have my techie side and I get to have my nostalgia. And if I ever come really, 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 broke one day, I'm going to have in the deal, I just get that one room that's my place. So if I, you just see that old man with the Atari robe roaming around the Atari hotel, that's my retirement, So it kind of checked off the boxes and it just resonated hard and I went full blast.
That's so cool. And you're talking about doing a hotel in Las Vegas and the buzz around that. And like, just everything you've done, and I keep like kissing your ass. I'm not trying to.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, Scott. Come from you. I mean, no, I'm over here at Mad Men headquarters over here.
I mean, as a marketer, like I just love that. Like like for the first time, I got to think about like anything is possible,
Yeah.
And I think younger people, like we just put limitations on ourselves. And I think creatively we limit ourselves. And then like I've just watched you having these successes and doing things that are like strange and not supposed to be done and it working and probably failing sometimes, but working in a lot of times. And then it just kind of unlocks your brain and going like, okay, Joe Rogan like did a podcast and now, I don't know, 10 million people listen to it every week or something, like crazy numbers. There's TikTokers that are nothing all of a sudden now have Super Bowl size audiences every day. And I just think, I don't know if it's through schooling or like where we like had these limitations to our business potential, our business success, or our creativity.
I think you're right. I think schooling does have a lot to do. When you go to college and everything, they really, they try to put you in a mold.
I mean, you are not realistic. You are not a realistic guy, but freaking good thing you're not.
Yeah, and now, and I think, what a big one is? I stopped hanging around with people that are limiting like that. So I have friends when I say something as crazy as let's go do an Atari hotel, they're like, damn straight we should go do an Atari hotel. It should be this big. And it should be like, wait a second. I was just thinking this. Okay, you're going bigger than I thought. Yeah. So you do have to like find a group, you have to hang out with guys that don't do limitations. And it's weird because I've limited the group that I hang out with, and I realized when I hang out with some of the other groups I used to, your reunions and stuff, and they're telling me about what they're doing. Like, yeah, but I got this and I don't know what this. I'm like, dude, you have way more wealth than I do. Yeah. You have way more contacts than I do. Yeah. What the heck are you talking about? Like, you can go do what you just said tomorrow if you wanted to. Yeah. And I think they're scared to lose what they have. And I think I've just lost so many times what I've had that now my base, I'm finally at a base where I'm not going to end up on somebody's couch anymore. And it feels really good. But
house money now.
Yeah, now I'm playing with house money. That's exactly right. But it's just you used to when you're used to. I always tell I go and speak sometimes at Grand Canyon ASU, and I tell the first things to kids like start failing now. Like, why would I fail? Like, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is you're on a friend's couch or a mom's couch. Yeah. You're going to be fine. And then the people that make fun of you, that's why I didn't do it. See, what happened to you? That's why I didn't do it.
I think that's why people are more scared to fail is just the humiliate, like being humiliated in some way by your friend.
It is. It's the peers.
Saying you suck.
And then also social media is tough because like if you fail, like I've had some, I've done some smaller projects and when they fail, like my cigar bar, you named it your name and it's being taken down. It's embarrassing because then they write an article about it. Oh, it came down and it wasn't even in business for a year. I go, it was a year and 3 days. But it's crazy because they want to it justifies to them. Yeah. Why they didn't try something. My
favorite article on this, Sarah Blankley from Spanx.
Oh yeah, she's cool. That girl's awesome. I read somewhere she's
by the way, like crush. She's one of my CEO crush.
Yeah,
freaking amazing. But her dad,
she makes people look great.
She had such a hustle too. She was like in Nordstrom's. Like she would do what you and I would do, like club promoter style, like putting Spanx next to the cash register, so she'd have to turn raise to get more orders at Nordstrom. But her dad was really interesting. Every day growing up, her dad would ask her what she failed at today. And she had to tell him.
Really? That's a cool thing, yeah.
Isn't that insane? That changes your perspective, I think, so much. Like, what did you fail at today? I just think there's such...
Becoming an expert at failing, eventually you can succeed by becoming an expert at it.
100%. That's how you learn. At least that's how I learn is like, oh, I screwed that up. I screwed this up. I screwed that up. And the confidence that you have, I think, after that. I don't know. It kind of blew my mind.
That's what, because when you learn younger at that age, all those things, it's so weird. It's like the Atari is the one that's really resonated with me. All the things going into that are all the things that I've failed. Yeah. Because I always thought like the Walt Disney thing, Yeah. And I felt this, that, and this, and this. And like, holy cow, this is it. Atari is the amalgamy
Of
all those things,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Your timing, you're too young here.
sure.
You didn't know enough there. You didn't have the timing of the market wasn't there. But all of those things, you didn't lose that money. It's all coming back. You didn't lose that time. You didn't lose, those relationships. They're all coming back. They're all coming to one thing.
Well, we talked about this of, the podcast, How I Built This.
Yeah.
About entrepreneurs.
Great one.
Right. I saw that insight with same entrepreneurs, whether it was Michael Dubin, who started Dollar Shave Club, all these little experiences put together, he was working for SI, so he knew how to make these micro websites. So he had a development ground. And then he was in New York, and his hobby was the Citizens Brigade, underground comedy, whatever. What's the comedy that you do when you make it up on the spot?
Oh yeah, the ad lib one. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I feel not smart right now on that.
It's like an impromptu. Improv. Yeah.
Improv. It's a famous one. A lot of SNL people were on it. He sucked, but he did it for 10 years.
I mean, think about the things you learned from doing that for 10 years.
Insane. Yeah. That's what he said. He said my Sports Illustrated for whatever 5 or 10 years, and my comedy club stuff put everything together to make this brand launch video for Dollar Shave Club. And he knew how to hire the actors, and he made a hilarious video that raised him a ton of money, and then all of a sudden he was the fastest unicorn company ever.
Wow!
But think about you too, even the studios, getting crushed by lawyers at studios and understanding to make yourself a better business person because of what you've learned through that.
Well, and it's nice because it makes you learn. You learned that lesson at of course on Ninja Turtles. You think that's a pretty big lesson to learn, but I wouldn't have wanted to learn that at building a hotel, an Atari. This is way bigger stakes than the movie. A movie's around for this period of time. These hotels are going to be around for a long time. So for me to learn that experience at that level, back then I was, it was terrible.
Yeah.
I look back now and there's parts of me that are it's kind of cool that happened.
Hell yeah.
That lesson is cool. Now this other thing happening, that's not going to happen to me.
Well, I think that's why the market bets on people. And even my mentor, who I had on another podcast, Tim McElroy, he said, Scott, I used to invest in companies all the time, and it would be the greatest company idea, and I'd be all over it. And now I'm I don't fall into that trap of investing in companies. I invest in people.
Wow.
Because the people will make companies successful. They take their life lessons and they optimize like a digital campaign. Companies fail all the time, but the people that I invest in, they don't typically fail as much.
Well, and whose butt to kick too.
Even a good person, running a great company, he'd rather have a great person than he had a gut feeling.
Yeah,
this person.
And it is gut. I mean, everybody. As this the guy that did Barstool.
Yeah, I mean,
and he goes. They ask him now. They go, so what's your process? Gut. They go, wait, all your key decisions now. He goes, yeah, we'll shift on a dime, and we have a gut feeling. Now, what's cool about that is if it doesn't work and we fail at it, we tried it. All right. It was a gut feeling. It didn't work. You move on.
Yeah.
Because we literally drive our whole business off of gut feeling.
I mean they're bigger than ESPs.
Yeah, they're huge.
Things are happening so fast.
So fast. He goes, you have to go that way because when we were younger, everybody built, a business plan. Yeah. And this is our year 2, year 3, year 4. Well, he was saying his thing, with Barstool and stuff. He goes, look, I have a business plan, and then all of a sudden TikTok comes out. And okay, well, now I got to readjust it. That came out of nowhere.
For sure.
What am I supposed to do now? Sure. So, coming out of gut, when we started our Atari Hotel, our first core investors, they came in with us letting them know, hey, Atari Hotel. All right, I'm in. Yeah. There was no business plan. There was no nothing. So it had a lot.
Vegas wasn't on your radar?
No, it had everything to do with relationship. And when we told them Atari and Hotel, done.
Yeah.
So those things did it. But if you have to be dependent on, I need to see a whole projections of the next 3, we've done it. And I've done these projections, and you'd sometimes do it to determine. Those exercises are great to determine where you should put your value, in building something.
Yes.
But it should never be done to for investors or anything, because you and I know it's baloney. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I think every time you're doing it, you're like, okay, I know this is bullshit. Maybe I should take 10% down because it seems too high. Like, I mean, it's just, so I really try not to do that. We always have a direction and a core.
For sure.
But as far as just a straight out business plan that's 3 and 5 years, anybody doing a 3 or 5 year projection, I just, the technology is shifting so quickly.
100%.
And when I mean the technology, we mean how the consumer, how people are using it.
Yes.
So I can understand if you could say like, okay, well, your cell phone's going to do this much more, but we don't even know how people are going to be using things. It's shifting so quickly that like, how could you predict in 3 years ago? Really, TikTok, all these other things that we're seeing, Instagram was barely, maybe 5 years ago.
I mean, look at, Elon Musk and Tesla stock, or look at, crypto. Like no one
Crypto.
Yeah,
Like this whole NFT thing now. Like, what's this? Jesus. This NFT came out of nowhere, and now everybody on our board says, well, what are you going to do NFTs and all this stuff? Like, I don't know. Is it going to be here? Like,
maybe. We'll try some.
Right. But it can't be like shifting your whole,
What do you think is up for the future? I mean, I talked about this. I think the way media consumption has changed so drastically, it has really caught my attention. I think my biggest wonder is like what's happening with influencers. We talked about content houses before we started. Like, what do you think the future holds? Like, we actually joked about this too, about like what makes Elon so great is he's like a marketer futurist.
Yeah, he is.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what's so brilliant. And, he's got, giant cojones, so he just goes after stuff. Like, what do you think's up for the future?
Well, you're right. When you're talking about the influencer stuff, it's hard for us to grasp.
Yeah.
Because we're still used to, you build a brand and you get, you get sponsors and you get people to, endorse your product.
Yeah.
But it's almost getting your consumer to be your endorser. It's really strange stuff.
It is.
And these influencers are like, our generation almost has no respect for them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you see this guy has 2 million followers.
I'm like, they're just dancing on TikTok.
And I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But that gets right to your core market. And, you find some of these influencers are literally 90% octane for you. Like, you can find something else that's a bigger celebrity. But this guy is 90% octane. This guy is pure. Everybody following him is your core consumer.
Yeah.
And that's what they get paid on. So it's very more sniper way of doing things. I compare it to, there's two different mentalities. There's always some people that slow. They aim the rifle and they shoot. Yeah. They got their target down. They notch it up. Yeah. Boom, bullseye. And there's guys like some that I'm just used to doing is like shotgun. Boom. Did I hit?
Yeah.
Did I hit something?
Yeah.
So now
that's how we've been doing marketing for 100 years.
Right.
So broadcast.
You're just on CBS, NBC. We've been shotgunning.
Get on the shelves and shotgun it all out.
But now you can be laser target focus.
Yes.
And you have the technology like almost like the Iron Man where you can go like it just takes all the targets down at the same time.
Correct.
So it's just cool.
I believe in that. I think we are on our way to some sort of personalization of marketing to an extreme level.
Yeah.
Even if you think about the cookies and Facebook and Instagram, all that, but I still think there's something great about a rallying campaign that like everyone is on board with, like when Nike came out, Just Do It, or when a Super Bowl ad hits and we're all watching the Budweiser ad together, with like the frogs, like, or Geico, like something about a campaign that like resonates with everyone at the same time, and has captured that core essence and that like emotional trigger, like that's different for everyone, but it's the same feeling that everyone gets behind. I think there's something magical about that, but I do think personalization is going to only increase.
Yeah, I mean, like what you just brought up was like it's everything I've ever done was pop culture.
Yeah,
I have one phrase and one phrase only, and I always say pop culture rules the world.
It really does.
It really rules the world, and especially now that you see with social media and everything, the one thing that I've seen that's stayed consistent is pop culture still rules.
Correct.
Even more powerful now. It does. It is.
Internet event, like Barstool seems to capture it and like recap it, which is amazing. But yeah, it's so you're 100% right.
Yeah, they guide it a little bit, but they let that content flow. Those magic moments happen, and they happen to be there to capture it.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of the stuff I've redone on what we do is I don't want a lot of our content. Like, I want us to we're creating some really cool visuals for Atari, but at the same time, we're doing a lot of fan base stuff.
Yeah.
Just because it's being created daily.
So you're allowing the fandom to customize the brand to the way they want.
They know it better than we do.
Wow.
I mean, they've been fans more than I have been of, you know, Atari and all the stuff we're doing in gaming. The one that I'm learning is like, you know, this gaming world is they're sticklers, and you can't fake it to them. If we built a hotel that was not with their input, they'd make funny. They get in there and they're like, dude, this is a joke. Who created this place? And that has been our biggest fear is like one of the, you know, the podcast guys, you know, those nerd guys. I'm a nerd, but he goes, how the hell are you gonna get me off my couch? And I'm like, well, we're going to do this, that, and this. Yeah, that sounds cool enough, but seriously, how can you get me off my couch? I got all my game stuff here. How are you going to do like, and I couldn't sleep for months. Like, how am I going to get him off this? Because he's right. Like, so we started, you know, treating the rooms as Ready Player Stay. Well, at his house, he doesn't have this kind of microfiber. This gives him this low latency speeds. Right. He doesn't have this kind of screen that does this. He doesn't have 24-hour room service that gives him hot pockets at 2 or 3 in the morning. He's got to go down to the local Circle K. Yeah. So he doesn't have, so we treat it like he's a little fisher. Yeah. But with us, if he wants to go big sea deep fishing, we have those assets. We have the assets that in his games, the only way you can get them in that game is if he's staying in a specific room. So we are going to give them things that they do that are hospitality in their digital world. You know, because a lot of what they're doing, they care more about what's going on in their digital world than their real world. So so the hotel has to adjust for that. We can't be a physical hotel. We have to be a hotel that synchronizes with a digital side because half their brain's in the digital side. So we're hospitality for both.
That's what's so interesting and that's where I think you nailed it with Atari is where the nostalgia is cool, but if you're not relevant in today's world and this e-gaming world, as I've been trying to understand the last 3 years, like literally I've talked to some of the biggest people in industry. In fact, I'm going to have one of my friends who's part of Phase Clan.
Right. I mean, look, everyone's a partner of Phase. That company is so massive. I have no partner. They're huge.
You're telling me Phase Clan's worth like $500 million?
Yeah. And let me get this straight. You just own teams.
Jerry Colangelo sold the Suns for $300 million. Like it blows my mind. So I've been trying to understand it, but you've captured this insane market that needs customization, that needs innovation. I mean, you and I were walking down the strip in Vegas, and you walk down, and it's like, these hotels are 15, 20 years old.
And they're not prepped. So when I first, I'm going to do a little trial. And I'm not even a gamer. So I went and bought a Switch, and I'm a gamer in the form of like the old games.
Yeah.
I love the nostalgia, but I'm more of
a Mario Kart guy.
Yeah, and I'm a Comic-Coner.
Yeah.
And they're both, same world. But what I was realizing was these guys, I went to 5 different hotels. I went to San Francisco.
Yeah.
This is.
You didn't like Virgin, though, right?
I love Virgin.
Virgin boys.
Dude, Virgin was actually one of the 3. There's 2 of the 5 that you could connect.
Yeah.
But I couldn't connect on most of them because they're on these systems that are part of the hotel. So it wouldn't let me connect to the USB port. Then if I try to connect the USB port and I connect it there, then I could connect to this. Then it wouldn't give me this.
You lugging like this gaming thing around?
So all gamers lug their stuff.
That's insane.
Lug their stuff. And then all of a sudden I didn't have the speeds that I needed. And then you got this. So if you're a gamer, and we're talking, there's a huge part of the population that is. It's part of your lifestyle. Your friends are in there. That's who you hang out with. You don't say, okay, we'll see you in a week. You're just not going to go travel. You're going to.
Well, you can get on the headset and see them tomorrow, right?
Right. But
why would you get off your couch?
Correct. So if you're going to get them to come to different cities, because people still need to travel and all that, these hotels need to accommodate the metaverse, the digital side of humans. And it's not just that, like, even though I'm not a gamer, I take a lot of content. I love watching movies and TV, a ton of it.
Wow.
It's always on. I love it all. But when you go to these hotels, I can't connect all my stuff. Like I have my stuff personalized. I got my Netflix, all this stuff. I can't connect to any of these things half the time. And if you can, it's a pain in the butt. I got to put my codes. And like, this doesn't make any sense. Like the connectivity, they just don't even care. They don't even get it. And they don't even want you in your room pretty much anyways, it seems like.
No.
With us, like the room is an escape. We want the rooms to be where we get your digital side and we're going to enhance it here.
But how do they go play slot machines so it's money?
Exactly. The one thing you're going to see though that's cool, and this is the good answer to that one, is I've been going to Comic-Cons for, I don't know, for 15, 20 years. And the one thing, the one in San Diego sells out in 30 minutes.
I hate to admit this, I've never been.
It takes over the entire city.
I hear
A lot of people can't even get into Comic-Con, but they go to San Diego just to be around the...
Hang out is part of the deal.
Right, because they get to hang out with people like them. They get to have these nerd conversations about Superman that you cannot have in normal life. But that's common. So I realized, that kind of experience where you want to be with like people, that's the Atari. We're Comic-Con and E3. We're like North Pole for Christmas, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
We give you that experience every day.
Wow.
So why are you going to go to Comic-Con, dude?
I mean, you want to
come to us. We're the same.
Same deal.
We got way cooler stuff.
More consistency.
Yeah. Why are you going to go to E3 and then after you go to E3, oh my God, this is all cool. And then you go to La Quinta and you and your two buddies are in a dumb little room trying to connect your thing. Like, are you out of your mind?
I heard a comedian say
that's not right.
I heard a comedian say one time, just made me think of it.
Nothing against La Quinta,
what is La Quinta? Spanish for behind Denny's?
Yeah. Like that's what happens. Everybody going to Comic-Con, they get
hoteliers, by the way, have made a ton on these box hotels that haven't innovated shit.
And then I went up to Meow Wolf. So Meow Wolf, up in there, they kill it, this experiential thing in Santa Fe. And they asked me to, I went up to check it out. And like, okay, so you get the consumer, the fan, whoever they are, you charge them $50. They're in there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. They want to be part of your world, man. They love it. Then you got
tribe, right? Like
it's a tribe.
It's similar like music. Like, I like Slightly Stupid.
Yeah,
you like Slightly Stupid too. Right?
They're like traveling with the Grateful Dead. Yeah, they'll travel. But the Grateful Dead, they were brilliant. They made an experience. You're camping out there for 3-4 days, and you're around the lifestyle. Right. Now that's a good one. The Grateful Dead. We have to remember that one. The traveling,
or Jimmy Buffett, or whatever.
You're traveling with it. So when a lot of these experiences like Meow Wolf, $60, great experience, having fun. Then after that, you go to Marriott afterward.
Yeah, but I don't get them now. Like, what is it? It's like
you can't annex. It's weird. I'll take you to the one in Vegas.
I want to see it.
You'll like it. It's a blast.
To come to Phoenix, and then it didn't come.
You'll like it. And they're great guys over there. No, they're
killing it.
They're killing it because people want experiential. They want to be part of this different world. All my argument is you're going to have people trekking across the country to come check out your awesomeness instead of them being part of your awesomeness for an hour, 2 hours. Yeah, I want you to be part of that awesomeness for 2 days. I want you in your rooms like it, your restaurants in there like it, the whole experience. Our Atari hotel, it's really a city of Atari. It's an entire city in there.
Are people ready for the type of innovation you're going to bring to the hotel business?
I hope so. I think so. The one thing I mark my words, I think that in the future you're going to see hotels say they're going to have a little thing on it saying game ready. In other words, that their game, they're ready player stay, because that's such a massive demographic. And also you have streamers now. You have other people that make their money in business remotely in this giga economy thing. Yeah. They all need high-end access. And these hotels are not providing that at all, or the aesthetics that they need or the looks they need or anything. So I think you're going to see a huge shift in hotels because our brains are going more and more into the metaverse, and it's just a thing. It's happening. It's crazy. So you got to accommodate for it.
I mean, in so many ways, it is going that way, and most commercial properties aren't ready for that.
No, they're just not even, apartments and condos, and a lot of things I have to understand, but how people are making their money. And entertainment.
Technology doubles every 5 years or something. Like it's just going, and at the pace is going faster and faster and faster and faster, and we can't even comprehend.
No, I remember when my Nokia days, the biggest thing that people weren't ready for is for reception. And, everybody had to go around, and there's big companies like, okay, we better reception and, reception. Because all we were doing back then was making phone calls, text messages, and playing Snake.
Yeah.
Now everybody's life is on this device.
Freaking Snake.
Their social life's on it. Their business is on it. Their relationships to their families on this. And now that can't just be on a handset anymore.
No.
Now I think we put everything into the handset and the TV, but now it's doing the opposite. It's now spreading out into devices, especially during COVID. We saw a lot of that.
Yes.
You saw that now the whole house has to be embedded with these kind of fun, cool technology, and it's just part of your world.
100%.
I think we're finally going Jetson, man.
Oh, we're there. First of all, my son's favorite show is a YouTuber that plays Minecraft.
And they're watching other people play games.
I'm like, this is insane. And then he has a watch that calls me, and then,
nice.
My kids wouldn't even understand it. Why aren't we FaceTiming? Like, why aren't we Jetsoning?
And you and I don't like FaceTime. I don't like FaceTime.
FaceTime.
But people insist on it too. Yeah.
Now Zoom, it's a crazy world. Maybe to end us off here, and you and I could talk about this for 5 hours, and
we'll keep it to one of our late night talks.
I know, but it's incredible. I mean, and that's why what I get excited about is look at Amazon, look at Tesla, look at some of these stocks and some of these futurists. How they are thinking about enhancing a community of people that kind of believe in them, and it is marketing. I mean, we talked about that's what I think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what should, and I end this question a lot on this podcast because I think it's important. Like, I wish I had what I knew now, like when I was 25. What should somebody who is 25 or 30, like, what should they be thinking about? And of course, they already know the technology stuff. Yeah. Like, they're good. That they could probably be a futurist better than you and I could. But like, what's something that like that you've taken away from your career that like you wish you could have told 25-year-old Napoleon?
Well, one more thing I would have done back then that I had learned, and I didn't realize till I was older what I was doing. I got into cigars in my 20s.
Yeah.
And people who smoke cigars are older, successful, rich people, apparently. I liked cigars. And you know what's cool about it? When you're smoking a cigar with somebody, it takes you an hour, 2 hours to smoke a cigar. Huh. You're just around some of the people that know really smart people.
Yeah.
And right now, these, because there's such a shift in technology, I think a lot of kids in their 20s don't think that people in their 40s and 50s or whatever, 60s, know anything because they think that this world has gone beyond you.
Yeah.
So there's some fundamentals.
Ageism there.
Yeah. But there's some true fundamentals because we still are a society that's built off of relationships. It's built off of society, and they're losing those skills. You just don't get those through social, online stuff. So the one I take out, I do more of that.
Connecting with smart people.
Smart older people that have done things.
Like sophisticated activities.
I've had two incredible mentors in my life, and there's just no way I would have made it without them. And when I mean mentors, like when you really screw up, even if they're a mentor and they invested in you, they don't hold it against you. Yeah. Like, you know what, dude? I got one of my mentors like, dude, why didn't you tell me not to do that cigar bar? I told you, but we weren't listening, and I've done the same mistake. Remember that restaurant, Crown Room? Oh, yeah. What happened to that? Well, exactly. That's my failure. So that's one of them.
Good for the Crowns, by the way. They invest in my buddy's company.
They've been great investors and partners.
What they've done for Phoenix with the tech community, with investors, and I mean, one of my buddy's company right now is going to be huge, a technology company, but there's multiple stories that. But
they've taken the risk.
They've taken
with people.
Yeah, they I don't know if they'll ever get the credit for how they've built Phoenix into an actual real powerhouse.
No, they always looked down with youth. I remember. He invests in my company. I remember now I was 29.
Wow.
$2 million. Like, dude, that's insane. I'm thinking back now, there's not 120. I don't know if I'd invest that with anybody, but that's one of them, the mentor thing. You got to find these mentors.
Couldn't agree more.
The second one.
This is the Eric Crown. It's insane.
The second one that's hard for me now is that at my age, it's harder to learn new things, kind of things in the text movie. But I wish I learned graphic design. Yeah. I wish I learned programming. These things now are like learning English, like it's learning how to write. It's learning how to, these things now are the new language.
Schools aren't teaching.
Right.
Schools
And
aren't prepared.
because when you're learning how to write and do all these things from back in the day, that's how you communicated to other humans. You'd write them a letter and Now how you communicate to people, because everything else is going to be easily done, AI and all this, is you have to be able to communicate an idea. And if I'm always dependent on a graphic designer. Graphic designer has to grade my vision. And then all of a sudden he's a partner or whatever, and it's not exactly what I want. Same with legal. I wish I, got my law degree or something. But these are things that are these skills that if you can learn these, you wouldn't have to be dependent on others to express your vision. And that's, to me, that I wish I did, because the biggest challenge that slows you down is you have to get these people that know these skill sets that you should technically be able to know yourself.
That's interesting. If I'm 25, I'm probably a video, editor and content creator, because then anything I want to do can be communicated like that
instantly
and distributed globally. Now that's where we're at. That's where there's so many content creators.
Yeah.
And the content creators, like, it doesn't matter what your product is. If you can create content that's cool that people are consuming, insert whatever freaking product you want. And oh, by the way, as television's declining, we're going to be in a content shortage. As much content as you see, and you're like, oh man, there's so much content. Oh.
Those are the skills you need. You don't necessarily need college anymore. I mean, it was fun, but nowadays, I think if you are waiting on the sideline for 4 years in college, and you're on the sidelines, okay, go to college, but definitely you should be doing something else in there too.
Have a business.
You should be, but you got to learn these skills, these tools, because we're not past where we don't need any of these tools. You have to learn some basic tools to be able to, create something. You have to. Otherwise, you're dependent on other people. So you better be a good talker or something.
Well, have good contracts. Yeah, and I've had so many partnerships. Even college, I had businesses that failed, and but I've seen those guys now at businesses now and like successful. I think that's really interesting about having the tools to be reliant on.
Yeah, I would have gone to be, and lawyers, you sometimes don't go to school for what you like. Look, I wouldn't like going to school for law. That sounds really boring. But I wish I had my law degree, because a lot of the times right now when you're trying to protect your ideas and protect yourself, it's all about legal. And then when you're dependent on another human being to do that for you, it's not good sometimes. And then graphic design is the same way. If I had those two things, oh my God, I can only imagine.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we have a ton of creative, obviously, at OH, and amazing content creators. But yeah, I can't design anything.
No.
And then legal, you and I've talked about this. Probably the biggest business mistake I've made in my life is on a legal contract.
And not saying you do your own legal, but you got to know these fundamentals. You got to know, hey, no, I don't like this. Creatively or legally.
Yeah.
You got to know this stuff. So I've been learning through all the money that I've lost or spent on these people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can't even imagine doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I know we could talk. I'm gonna have Napoleon on again, because I just think there's so much knowledge that people can gain. Just how Napoleon thinks and gets your mind creatively thinking about where are we going in the future? How can you take advantage of it as an entrepreneur or a business person? And again, like, take some risk, fail. And just hang it out there. And I think good things will happen. Napoleon's proof of that. Watch out what's going on with Atari hotels. I know there's some other IP coming out that I think you can talk about. But
talk about it soon.
Which I'm excited about. And good Phoenix boy here in the studio. So good to have you, Napoleon, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, man.
You just experienced the Big Reset, Marketing and Business Edition. New episodes of our highly engaging series drop every Wednesday, while past sit-downs are available to stream or download in our archive. For more, follow your host at Scott Harkey on Instagram. And for more on OH, check out ohpartners.com.